I'm out on the Lynn Peninsula in Wales, and I've just recently finished the Pan-Celtic Ultra, which was quite a big road race. It's 2,400 kilometres with 2 ferries, so it works out about 2,200 kilometres of racing. And with the elevation, it works out about, I don't know, 10, 11 metres per kilometre, so actually quite nice compared to some of the other races I've done. Going into this race, I was far more nervous than I have been with other races. I don't really know why. I think it was fear of the unknown road race, but there you go. So this is the setup that I used going into the race, and it took me to 5th place, which I was really happy with. I mean, my main goal was trying to get in under 7 days and get in the top 10, which I achieved both, so very, very happy. Main takeaway being, if you get a bit more rest, you move so much faster, your mind is much clearer, and you feel way better, and you just enjoy the whole experience. There were a couple of nights where I cut the sleep really short, but that was to try and make a ferry, to try and catch up with someone, Tom Morgan, or yeah, just trying to get through and create a bit of a gap. So my sleep for the first night was, I think, 3.5 hours. My sleep for the second night was 3.5 hours. My sleep for the third night was 75 minutes, and that's because someone else's alarm went off. Oh, I nearly lost the bike then. Third night I got 75 minutes, and on the fourth night again, I think I got 4 hours, and then realised on the 5th day that if I rode through the night, then there was a chance I could catch the evening ferry to get back to Wales, and then I slept on the ferry. So the 5th night I didn't sleep apart from a few 10-minute naps by the side of the road, which was horrendous again, going back to the lack of sleep. That was nasty. And then got on the ferry, had a good 3-hour sleep, and then fell right as rain for the 118 kilometre sprint finish, where 4 of us were going for 4th place. But anyway, this is a gear check video. This is not a race recap. So there's been quite a few changes to my setup on the whole, in terms of the bike and how it's positioned and some of the stuff that I'm using. So first of all, I'll talk about the bike fit. So I finally got a proper bike fit. I did get a bike fit when I bought this bike, the Pearson, about 4 years ago, but that was prior to doing a lot of cycling. So I went to see Steve Byrne at Power Watts in Brighton, and you're booked in for a 3-hour session, and I couldn't imagine that it would take 3 hours, but it did. And it was fantastic. But in short, my position was moved slightly further forward and down. It's far more aerodynamic. I opted for an endurance fit rather than an aerodynamic fit, but a more aerodynamic position just came with someone professional taking some proper measurements using lasers and taking the time to ask you questions about your fit. I think one of the things that I was most amazed by and impressed by, that took a bit of time but it was well worth it, was he would make a small tweak in my position and then just say, is this better, yes or no? And we just did that for ages and ages and ages, and it just minor changes made such a big difference. From what I understand, I've been moving the seat back to try and create more space between myself and the handlebars, and then I got longer stem, and my stack height came down a little bit, so extra aero, very cool. And also changed my shoes. I've got really wide feet. Now I have a proper set of shoes that are wide fit, and now I'm not upsizing shoes to fit in my square hobbit feet. These are the Physique Venter SPD mountain bike shoes. They are quite a wide fit, and they have a boa, and having shoes that finally fit with a wide enough toe box where you can like wiggle your toes and move around in has already been a game changer. Another thing that came with the Power Watts bike fit was the heat molded custom soles. Now they're done right at the beginning of the fit and then used, I guess, kind of to build your position from the ground up. Whilst I haven't got that much to compare it against, well, another proper fit to compare it against, I know what my fit was like before and what my fit is like now, and it's night and day. It's a total cliche, but getting a bike fit makes such a difference. It is so worth it. It's worth every penny, and I just wish I'd done it sooner. We've got the bike perfectly dialed in, so that's the first thing to talk about. And in this video, I want to talk about what I had in each bag, why it was in there, and where it was positioned on the bike. As always, I've gone with the Old Man Mountain Atlas pack. I opted for the 9 litre pack this time. There is a 12 litre pack. I haven't felt the need to use it yet because I don't think I've done a race long enough that requires that much stuff at the back, but I will definitely be using that for the Taurus Mountain race. But the Atlas pack has been with me now for every single race. I don't think there's, unless it's a day race, there's not been a race that I have not used the Old Man Mountain Atlas pack. It's waterproof, it attaches to the rack, it's solid, it doesn't budge. I actually attached my tracker to the top of it this time because it gives a nice line of sight to the sky, and then finally had no tracker issues, so I'll be doing that again. Okay, so the Atlas pack was mounted on an Old Man Mountain race prototype ultralight rack that I've been using for ages. I'm still not allowed to show it yet, but basically I've used it in every race. It's great. It's super lightweight, mounts onto the back nice and easy, has lots of mounting systems, has lots of mounting loops, does the job. Hopefully I'm allowed to talk about it soon, but not yet. I'm here to talk about the Atlas pack. So in the bag, I had the tracker on top. I had one power bank, 10,000 milliamps, was more than enough. I barely used it during the day. If anything, I just used it to top up my lights when I forgot to charge them at night. My Di2 charger, it now has a discoloured micro USB section because I lost that on the first night and then ran out of battery on the second day, and then I was single speeding for the end of the second day coming out of Adrara, which was 60 kilometres of hills, which in one gear was vile. In here is just an assortment, well, it was an assortment of cables. Now it's got a Pan-Celtic finisher's badge and my ferry ticket, but in here was assorted cables. Toiletries, I actually lost these on day 2, so I've now got a Bluey Child's toothpaste, an extra toothbrush, some paracetamol and some Vaseline that was there to replace my chamois cream. That's as many toiletries as I had. And then I had a pair of warmer waterproof gloves because I really suffer with the cold. An Apogura reflective vest, high-vis vest. This was mandatory equipment that you're supposed to wear it at night because I wasn't riding at night too much. I didn't have to use it that much. Just another set of Giro short gloves. I should ride with gloves more often, but I just hate wearing gloves. But I did wear these on my hands, started to get a bit sore. And then a waterproof layer and an ultralight warm layer. Okay, this seems like a good enough time to talk about the kit that I was using for the race. And it's all from Albion because I'm now supported by Albion, which is, well, just unbelievable. What a huge treat. Thanks very much, Albion, for giving me all your fancy kit to race in. So, for the race, I had the new LiDAR Bracken jersey. It's just come out, and the main feature being that it's got UPF factor 50 plus in the jersey, so it's designed for like hot long days. And I first used this a couple of weeks back when it was like 35 degrees and was actually fine when I was riding. So I thought that would be perfect for the race. So I wore that every single day, actually. I didn't take a spare change of kit. I didn't take a spare change of kit at all because I opted to try and sleep indoors and was dubbed a hotel hopper by a rider called David. So thanks very much for that. But it worked out well because it meant I got to refresh my kit every night, which is dreamy. LiDAR Albion jersey. And then just the Albion cargo bib shorts. They're a bit of a staple now because they've got 3 pockets, and I tend to have either like a jacket stuffed at the back, or I use that as like my rubbish bin, and then I have my phone in one and then a bunch of snacks in the other pockets. There was one day where I still slept and I rode the bike for 22 hours and was absolutely fine. And then there was another day where obviously I rode through the night, and that ended up being a from start of ride to end of ride 836 kilometre ride with a 3-hour ferry gap in the middle, and yeah, fine. Albion socks. I treated myself to take 1 spare pair of socks, and so these were the warmer layers that I kept in my tail pack. This is the Albion ultralight jersey. It's insulated at the front and breathable at the back. I actually only had to crack this out once on the ride. I mean, we were absolutely blessed with the weather, and as you can see, still the weather is pretty good here on the west coast. I also had the Albion waterproof. I didn't go for the full Zoa rain jacket. I wanted the smaller one because the weather looked fantastic and it was good. I don't think I got rained on once. I purely put this on to keep me warm when I slept in the ditch. That was it, but it's a staple. You've got to take it with you. So these two jackets were also in the Atlas pack. So in the Atlas pack, I still had about, it can't have been more than half full. So there were a couple of times where I stopped at petrol stations and then shoved a couple of extra sandwiches in the back of the Atlas pack. But that's what it was used for. I'll show you all stuffed inside. So bivvy, jacket, reflective, gloves, toiletries, electronics, more electronics, and then, I mean, it's tiny, not even half full. Now this is a good time to move on to the bags that I had in the middle of the bike. It's 2 bags from Apogura, which I'm very fortunate to say are kind of supporting me going forward. I've got the Apogura Racing 2-litre top tube bag and the Apogura Aero medium frame module, which I think is 1.5 litres. The way I've ordered these bags is in the top tube, that's stuff that I want all the time and any time, and in the frame bag, that's things that I shouldn't need too much. So let's look at what's in the 2-litre top tube bag. Hopefully the bike doesn't fall over. In here I kept things like immediate tools, sun cream, some electronics and some snacks. I've got headphones, sun cream was well needed. Ignore that, it's just a bunch of, it says ashwagandha calm, but it's just it was a bunch of electrolyte tablets. This says turmeric tablets, but it was a bunch of caffeine tablets that I used mainly on the last night and to get me through when required. In here I had a like a Ziploc bag that just had my brevet card, passport and some money and some bank cards, and oh yeah, also my exposure Diablo that I wasn't using all the time. At night, obviously it was on my helmet, during the day it was just sitting in the top tube bag. I also have a bike lock, Dynaplug, maybe my most used tool ever. It's insane how many of these I go through. I didn't use any during the race until a 3-kilometre stretch where I used 6. Old Man Mountain universal strap. I've had to use this in the past to hold bags together, hold shoes together, and just hold things on my bike. So I always take one of those. Bepanthen cream. It's an antiseptic cream. It's a bit like Sudocrem. I lost my Sudocrem, so I got some of that. Some chamois cream in a little tub, a zip tie, spare inner tube, and a Silka Ultimate Pump. I, again, didn't use it at all until the final stages of the race where I used it a lot. Okay, so in the Aero frame module, I had tools and gels. It was stuffed full of SIS, and some sealant, which did get used towards the end. SIS beta fuel, it's 40 grams per gel. I think I had about 12 of them in here when I started, and I had 4 in for the final stint, which I used all of. Yeah, they're great. They're just easy on the stomach, and I can have them any time of day and have no problems. I also had a toolkit, which I've wedged in here now. And we can look at what I had in the toolkit. Once I smashed through the gels, I just used the spare space in the frame bag to stuff extra bars and food, things like that. Okay, so let's talk about the tools that I took. Pretty basic. Pretty basic. I know some people went super light, but I'm always nervous about not having the right tools. I've had plenty of mechanicals in my time. Just wrapped up in this little dry bag, I had some electrical tape. I mean, I've used this to like hold things together, fix tubeless punctures, all sorts. So it's just nice to have a bit of that. Restrap tyre boots. Cannot stress how useful these are. These have got me out of a pinch before. These have saved my race before. Very effective. I took some CO2 canisters just in case I had to reseat a tyre. Luckily, I didn't have to. After my experience with Dale's Divide, where I sheared a bolt on a rack and I didn't have any spare bolts because whoever shears a bolt. But there you go, so now I took some, even though it was a road race, maybe overkill. Toe Peak multi-tool with a chain breaker. Yeah, tyre lever, wolf tooth, chain link pliers with some spare chain links. I guess you never know when you're going to break your chain, which I've done before as well. And another tyre lever. So that's what the toolkit looked like. Relatively small on the whole, but I know some people took nothing. I did have to make a bit of a cheeky amendment to this prototype rack. I forgot the mounting pucks because I'm disorganised. But luckily, I had these Apogura bottle cage mounts, which I attached to the rack and then attached to my frame. Call that, good engineering or complete bod's job, but it worked really well. Another thing I changed for the race, out of choice this time, was the cassette. So I changed from an 1146 to an 1134. It's just smoother shifting, it's lighter, and it's more of a standard ratio. And it just worked really well. Obviously there's a couple of climbs I had to grind up, but that was, again, because the Di2 battery had run out and I was stuck in 8th gear, not because I didn't have a nice easy gear that I should have been able to pedal in. And then I also switched to road tyres. Now these are Rapid, and I don't know if it's because I'm coming from a gravel mountain bike background and I rarely ride road, or it's these tyres. I mean, probably a bit of both, but they are just sleek. These are 28mm. They worked amazing on my internal rim width of 23mm. They just blow up perfectly. Look at that. That's lovely. And can't fault them for anything. The punctures were all my own fault. I cannot blame the tyres. So if you're looking for some fast road tyres, them's the ones. This is a Smith Trace helmet, shift split mag glasses, something like that. Anyway, very kind of Smith to shoot those over, and they've had a good old battering for sure in multiple races now. But the reason I went for the Smith Trace helmet is, well, it's super lightweight. It is a road helmet. I can fit my exposure mount right at the top, and it's got this like Coroid lightweight protection, like mesh protection in the helmet, and it's extremely well ventilated. So usually I wear a hat when I'm doing these races to keep the sweat out of my eyes, but I just haven't had that problem since having this helmet. I'd never wear a hat anymore. Keeps my head very, very cool. Maybe it's something I'd have to think about if I was doing a colder race like a Taurus mountain race, but yeah, the helmet is super adjustable, and you can just chuck the glasses in at the sides at the top there. So for me, where I'm chopping between sunglasses and glasses of vision, it's easy just to chuck the sunglasses on the helmet. And then the glasses are the split shift mag, but basically you can pull the glasses apart very easily using this hinge. You just pop that off and then you can take a spare lens. I just opted for photochromatic lenses and wore them 90% of the time. Cockpit setup. So obviously it's redshift. Redshift aero bars, well needed for the Wild Atlantic Way and the northwesterly headwinds and westerly headwinds that you can get the whole way round when you're travelling through Ireland. There's a particularly nasty northerly wind as I was going up from Belfast to checkpoint 1, so these aero bars were well needed and well required. Actually, midway through the race, I adjusted them to angle them inwards to account for some shoulder mobility or lack of mobility. But they're great, just use them all the time. Anything fast, they're coming with. And also my newer 120mm stem that came off the back of the bike fit. Suspension stem, it's a game changer for the hands. Use it every single race. And then Toro exposure, Toro light, 36 hours of battery. It's just, you can forget about it. And the same with the Coros Dura. charge it once, forget about it, not a problem during the race, save the power banks for your phone and your Di2 battery when that runs out. That tends to be my thing anyway. So that's sort of the bike and some of the kit. All in all, it weighed, I think it was 15 kilos in the end, which is extremely lightweight. I think if I was to do it again, I would probably run with, you could get away with a top tube bag and a frame bag. Yeah, it's just such a fast course. I mean, that's if you're opting to hotel hop. Really enjoyed the race, first road race, very happy with the result. On to the next one. Maybe I'll see if I can squeeze another race in before October. Oh, and finally, please can someone tell me where I can get some different coloured 1 litre bottles? These are incredibly helpful, but I just don't like the colour. So clear or black bottles would be greatly appreciated.